Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Brent Venables, the Oklahoma Sooners, wrapping up their spring game Saturday afternoon. And Dill, there are a couple big takeaways, at least for me, coming out of this game. One, you're looking at an offensive line that I had massive question marks about heading into 2024. And I'll say this, that first team offensive line, I thought looked very good for the Oklahoma Sooners. I thought you saw on full display one of the more dangerous quarterback wide receiver batteries we'll see in 2024 in Jackson Arnold, Deion Burks. Really excited to get into this one. Talk about kind of some players that we saw really break out, what this Oklahoma team is going to be in 2024. Before we get into it, and as always, just want to say thank you to you guys. Massive shout out to the Oklahoma Sooner fans. Y'all know we love talking this program. The amount of support y'all show the fellas truly does mean a lot. If you guys do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Much more importantly, would love to hear some of your takeaways in the comment section. Dill, I'm going to give you the T-box. Let's start on the offensive side of the football. Big takeaways from the spring game here Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, frankly, I think the big thing was kind of what you said. That offensive line was really competitive in a game that features a very good defensive line lining up across from him. So again, it kind of looked a little different than I think we thought. I'm a little surprised to see Jacob Sexton kicking down in guard. I thought Nwaiwu played really, really well. I mean, this is a unit that I think, and Jake Taylor, I shouldn't forget him because I feel like we've all just talked about transfer tackle. I mean, he's going to be the right guard, I think. I thought he looked
right
awesome.
Tackle. And he looked phenomenal doing it. And I thought Tarquin looked good at left tackle too, quite frankly. Yeah. We had been banging the table to get another transfer offensive tackle in here. And I came away from that Oklahoma spring game and saying, you know, I feel pretty good about where Oklahoma is at tackle. I think you got three tackles that you really feel good about. Do you want to add a fourth? Yeah, maybe you do. But going into the season with three tackles you feel solid about, including Spencer Brown into that conversation, you feel solid. And we kind of said, Dill, if this Oklahoma offensive line can be good in 2024, this offense can do some special things. Let's start with Jackson Arnold. I'll say this, Dillon Gabriel, and I say this all the time, Oklahoma fans probably heard this plenty of times. Dillon Gabriel was very good for the Oklahoma offense. It looks different with Jackson Arnold at that quarterback spot and what you can do down the field and what Jackson Arnold can kind of the ceiling that he can bring to this Oklahoma offense. You saw that on full display Saturday afternoon as well.
I mean, yeah, you saw him pushing the ball down the field, some of those things he wanted, and then you just see a different level of zip on the football. Yes. I mean, going through the middle of the field, when he's making those throws to Deion Burks and Gibson and some of those other guys, the ball just gets there a whole lot quicker. And that, to me, I mean, I think you'll really see the benefits of that come out when you get guys like Farouk back, when you get guys like Angelo Anthony back who are so dynamic after they catch the football. And in Burks is too. Burks maybe might just be a gutly all-around guy because
let's talk about it. Deion Burks is, in my opinion, what you saw. He's the wide receiver one of this Oklahoma offense. It is clear the chemistry that Jackson Arnold and Deion Burks have built up, and I think what's so exciting about Deion Burks is you look at complete wide receivers. What do complete wide receivers possess? They possess the ability to beat defenses and challenge defenses in a lot of different ways. Deion Burks, a guy that can work after the catch, can create separation in his route trees. He can win down the field. You can get Deion Burks involved in so many different ways in this offense. I think you saw kind of Oklahoma scratch the surface with it this afternoon. I think you're looking at truly a wide receiver one in the SEC heading into 2024, Deion Burks.
And that's going to be huge. I think this wide receiver room looks really good. It was nice to see Bauer Sharp get involved in the offense and again, be around, working the middle of that field a little bit more effectively and being part of it. And then, honestly, I was very impressed by Gavin Sawchuk. And I know we've talked about him a lot, but, man, he really runs the ball. Really patient runner. I felt like did a really good job finding holes. Even when they were in their offense line, again, did a really good job opening them up. But even when they didn't necessarily have it and things were plugged, just a really good feel for when he should bounce it, when he should cut it back. Just really came away impressed. Again, been impressed by him for sure, but like just had a really good day today. And it looks like he's going to be that clear RB1.
Yeah, I think you hit it right on the head. Like we talked about Gavin Sawchuk and the explosiveness. What I saw today was like the patience. Like you can tell this is a kid going into year 3 of his career, getting a better feel for how to play that running back spot. I thought Sam Franklin looked pretty good as well, the transfer coming in from UT Martin. This was what I expected from the Oklahoma offense if the offensive line is going to be good in 2024. I've been kind of saying all spring, if this offensive line comes together, you're going to see a really dynamic Oklahoma offense. That offensive line was very good for Oklahoma on Saturday.
And it would be huge if they can run the ball like they did today, because, again, that's something that I think harmed them last year. There were too many games where they just couldn't move and they hit some explosive runs enough for sure, but just being down to down, having too many negative plays, not being able to grind out hard yards. I mean, you saw piles moving, getting those 4 yards, a kind of a carry just by default, almost by what their O-line was doing. And frankly, I think they need it, because I do think that they can use some protection on those tackle spots in terms of when they have really good speed rushers who can be turned loose on them. I think that's probably the one thing. You saw PJ beat him a couple times, and our Mason Thomas give him some trouble. But if you can run the football, keep those defensive ends a little bit more honest, I think that'll help immensely. And then I think that offensive line is truly good enough to take Oklahoma where they want to go.
Speaking of PJ,
he's good.
He's putting it together, man. And another guy, our Mason Thomas, these were two guys that we were talking about 2 days ago heading into the spring game and saying, all right, we'd like to see them kind of take steps going into year 2, year 3, respectively. That there's so much upside between those two guys. And I think it's a really interesting dynamic because you kind of know what you have with Ethan Downs. You kind of know what you have with Trace Ford. Solid edge rushers. Ethan Downs, I thought, had a very good game as well. You kind of wanted to see PJ and R. Mason Thomas, the two guys that probably offer the highest ceiling, really put it together. I thought you saw them do it. And Dill, Jaden Jackson, he's a guy that's going to be able to play for Oklahoma year one. And that's really rare to say guys can play along the line of scrimmage as true freshmen. I'd say Jaden Jackson, in terms of year one readiness, is probably a little bit ahead of David Stone. And that's saying a lot because y'all know how I feel about David Stone. I still would love to see Dominic Williams inserted into the middle of this defense, or Jermaine Lolea, but I came away feeling pretty confident with the inside of this defensive line, especially because Jaden Jackson really showed that he can be a guy that Oklahoma can rely on in 2024.
And Grayson Halton showed something in terms of being able to be a guy, especially as you work through the depth. And I think DeJoun Terry is probably going to be the guy. I think Devon Sears is going to play a lot for sure. But to be able to allow Grayson Halton to work in, feel comfortable having Jaden Jackson work in, I think that was huge. Because, again, you kind of look, that was the one place. And I'm kind of with you. I do think they could use one of those other defensive tacklers to a bigger body in terms because they did get run on a little bit today. So I think you add a Dominic Williams, you add some of that size. I think that would go a long way. But I do think you come away feeling a little bit more comfortable just because the way Grayson Halton and Jaden Jackson played in terms of having some depth.
And that's what we were talking about. So we knew we had some guys. How many guys do you have? Do you have 4, 5, 6 guys that you feel comfortable? Because that's what you're looking for in terms of winning games in the SEC. Their linebacker room, Kobe McKenzie had a day. Kobe McKenzie looks like maybe your other starting linebacker next to Danny Stutzman, flying around the football field, being physical. We knew Kobe McKenzie was that athlete. Question marks sometimes about the run fits and the physicality. After that spring game, not many question marks about the physicality Kobe McKenzie brings to this Oklahoma defense.
No, he was great. And we've kind of talked. That's kind of a 3-man battle, it feels like. And you could probably throw in Lewis Carter in there too. So you might say 4 men to go run with Danny Stutzman. And I'm kind of with you just from today. And again, that's not the end all be all. We're not necessarily there every practice and practice out. But Kobe McKenzie kind of looked like that guy in terms of being really effective going sideline to sideline. We knew he could do that, but I think you're right. It was the way he was playing inside, tackling really physically, that kind of stood out to me. Okay, this is the jump he needed to make from last year to now.
And then you look at the secondary, and I think definitely one coverage bust with Deion Burks, right? You saw that. Outside of that, and we kind of said that Zach Alley's going to be doing some different things in the back end with how they use the safeties. I think you maybe saw some growing pains at times. I still feel really good about just the numbers perspective of that Oklahoma secondary. They just got enough talent where I kind of just feel like that's going to be a solid unit heading into 2024. Dill, kind of how we wind down these spring games, positions where you'd like to see Oklahoma addressing the transfer portal. I'll give you 2. One, on the inside, of that defensive line. Again, whether it's Jermaine Lalea, Dominic Williams, Philip Bleedy, let's get one of them coming in 2024. I think the other spot, and again, I go back to the tackle spot and just say, wouldn't mind having four. Wouldn't mind having 4 tackles just because that's the number you probably feel comfortable about. But outside of those 2 positions, where do you think Oklahoma might need to add the portal here?
I'm not going to lie. I think the only place that you even really have room to do it is interior defensive line.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I look at this tackle spot. You say only 4 or you want 4. I think you would probably make an argument that with Jacob Sexton, if you need to kick him out to tackle,
that's a good point.
It's to dark days or something, you probably can get your 4th offensive tackle.
Yeah.
And I'm looking the way Tarquin played today, the way Spencer Brown played today, and more importantly, the way Jay Taylor played today. I'm not sure who's better in this tackle class because right now, if you're kind of hunting for tackles, you're really, really desperate because there are not a ton of great.
Yeah, I mean, like that's a question worth asking is how many tackles available in the portal are better than those 4 that we just listed? I'm not sure if you can name 2 or 3. And so Oklahoma, and we kind of talked about this, what excites me the most about this Oklahoma team is I feel like this is the deepest team that you've seen Oklahoma have. Like competition throughout this roster, that's what fires me up the most. We'll dive into this game a little bit more as we get some more film and watch the game back. But
while we're on the offensive line topic, I just want to say Eugene Brooks is going to be a really good.
Oh, yeah. We've been talking about him all offseason.
I don't think we had that much concerns about what they had on the offensive or interior as much as the tackle. He can really play.
He was, I think, one of him and Jaden Jackson being the freshman that I think can play really early on. Very much love that shout out. Appreciate you guys rocking with the boys again. Would love to hear from you guys in the comment section. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later.